What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I'm JJ Wang. He's the bearded one, DJ Dove. With our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, it is celebration, JJ Wang. I haven't told you yet. I was waiting to see your reaction on the live podcast. We have officially fulfilled our first ad monetization contract.
All right, nice.
We are that big. We had a big week of podcast listenership, one of our biggest in a while. People are going back listening to old podcasts, and we're crushing it. We're way over the threshold. But I mean, the money's not a lot in the real world, but it means that people are listening. People want to be part of Courier Nation. Courier Nation is growing. It's an exciting time to be a fantasy courier, JJ Wang.
Yeah, that's good news. It's fun to listen to you talk about this. You get all excited. It makes me laugh. Dude. I appreciate
it. The Facebook page has been bumping. I've been throwing up a little comment thing each day, getting a couple things. We're recording this a little earlier because I got my beach shirt on. I'm heading out to the beach tomorrow.
Which one you going?
Duck. We're going to Duck, North Carolina.
Gosh. I don't mean to tell everybody where you're going to be at. So.
Oh yeah. If you need an autograph of DJ Duff, I'll be in Duck, walking to Duck, North Carolina. Come on down. We'll talk fantasy. But I'm putting a thing up, and today we're recording on Saturday. So today I put up a question about Carson Wentz. What's his floor and ceiling? And it's funny. You can see the Eagles fans coming out in droves going, he sucks. He's terrible. I don't want him.
That's pretty much everybody, the Colts fans and Eagles fans.
Yeah, I took it because the ceiling, the floor is really, really, really low on Carson Wentz, right? But the ceiling, you look at what he's got there. He could be, I'm not saying top 5. I'm talking he could be a QB. He could be a fringe QB. I mean, he was QB 14 last year.
Yeah, that's what I said. Honestly, you know what? This might sound crazy, and it just popped up as you was talking. Honestly, I think last year might be his floor, right? Because he looked really, really bad last year, and if
he's still 14,
so if he looks like decent, right? I know he's playing. The Commanders. They don't have a great reputation, right? So we don't know, but they do got weapons. Their defense might be good. It might not. Depends on which way you want to go.
You want it to be bad.
Yeah. But, I think last year's number might be his floor, and I guess that makes his ceiling. What if his floor and his ceiling is exactly the same?
Some people said that, but they had the floor being 37 or something. But really, you got McLaurin, the 2 young guys. You got basically a scat back receiver, whatever, in Kurt and Samuel. You got 2 running backs that can catch. And then you got Robinson to be the bruiser, and then if Logan Thomas comes back healthy, and then Bates showed he was serviceable for a month, he's got people to throw to, and the division is terrible. Why can't he be? In a super flex league, he's a QB too. I wouldn't have any problem.
Oh yeah. I got Carson Lynch in a couple.
I got him once.
In the QB too. It looks gross, but you're you know what? He's still a QB too. It doesn't matter how I don't care what he looks like on the field. Yeah, we all watch him, and he looked awful last year. But you know what? He still kind of produced for fantasy.
Did he look awful, or was that last game versus the Jaguars just so terrible that it just blew the whole year up?
Maybe, but if you go back, yeah, that is true. But if you go back, if you watch Carson Wentz at all throughout the year, for any length of time, you've seen a bad play. I feel in every game. What are you doing, dude? You're better than this, but maybe you're not. So
I don't know. Coming out, I was a big Carson Wentz fan. I got him on a couple of teams. I'm enjoying the time, but yeah.
Who's not a fan? I'm thinking, who's not a fan of the quarterback coming out of small school? I feel like they're never the bad guy. Everybody likes them coming out of school, right? Anybody especially if you're drafted Trey Lance, and there's not been a lot. I know Steve McNair was one of them. Everybody likes Steve McNair coming out, and they produce. I feel like everybody loves these guys. There's not really. And now, except Carson Wentz, now a lot of people hate Carson.
Well, you sour quick. So I mean, that dude, if he'd have been healthy that season he had where Nick Foles got the Super Bowl, imagine the legacy of Carson Wentz if he didn't have that. It was shoulder, I believe, or was that ACL year? It
I
was
mean,
all
it
jacked up.
doesn't matter what it was.
But
It
the
soured his
legacy,
career.
he was MVP candidate at that point, carrying one of my teams, and whole career. I mean, he got Robert Griffin, but not to that extreme, So anyway, enough Carson Wentz talk. He's no point. He wasn't even in the docket. But news of the week: Gronk retired. Is he retired? Yes or no?
Probably not.
Okay, he's coming back. Yeah. Where do you draft Cameron? Do you draft Cameron Brate?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I guess you gotta draft him, right? Just don't pretend that offense throws a lot. There's not a lot of tight ends there. That he's pretty much. Yeah, he's pretty much.
But he's not getting anything.
And we all know how Tom Brady feels about rookies. He doesn't. I don't think he trusts them a whole lot. So I mean, Cameron. I mean, Cameron Brate. I don't know if it was. He's kind of like he was like a touchdown guy there for. I mean, he was like when I guess it was him and OJ Howard like battling back and forth. I always felt like you wanted Cameron Brate instead of OJ Howard. But I mean, if he's gonna be the only weapon in the high power, or the only tight end option in a high powered offense, especially with Chris Godwin possibly not being back 100%. So I mean, I think he could top 12 tight end. Doesn't take much, right?
Before we get into our topic for the day, I did the unthinkable this week. We're going to talk about him more next week. I traded away one of my shares of Tua.
Well, you only got, 12 now?
I got 12 first-round picks for Tua. I mean, I had to do it at the point. No, really, I didn't have a first-round pick in one of my dynasty leagues, my original one. They like to draft super late, so we didn't even draft till I got them from early August to mid-July, so that's what I can do. But I don't have any first-round picks, and the dude that is at 1.2 is always tradable, and he's a Colts fan. So I was like, I got Michael Pittman. All my receivers are monsters. I mean, I got Chase and Waddle, and I forget who. Like it was Sutton and A-Rob, and I hope it's stacked up there. So I said, okay, cool. I want some more Drake London, who I just got. I mean, I kind of wanted to go back a couple spaces. I don't have any Olave, but I love Drake London. That's been my guy, other than Justin Ross. But
okay, I'll let you finish.
But so the trade that ended up, and he has Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz are his quarterbacks. So this dude owns a quarterback, and Tua is the best quarterback in the league. So why not? So I got a second, your favorite Green Bay Packer receiver, the number 1 for this year, Alvin Lazard.
He did sign his tender, so he's back on the team. So
he swiped right. And a 2023 4th-round pick just to throw in there for fun, because we have a 4-round draft. I think I could change that. And he got Tua, Pittman, and I threw in Duvernay, who he had no clue who Duvernay was, so I should have just kept him because Duvernay, I think, could get some of the Hollywood work. What do you think of that? So I got a second Lazard for Tua, Pittman, Duvernay in a single quarterback league where I have Josh Allen.
Oh, it's a single quarterback league. Then, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
That makes a little bit. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get rid of Tua, a single quarterback league is the league to get rid of him, right? Because you're not going to use him anyway. So what's the point of even having him on your team? So I mean, of course, I like Pittman. We'll talk about him.
I love Pittman. He's coming up. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, that'll lead us into it.
Yes, but I mean, yeah, if you're not going to use him and you're a Tua fan, yeah, go ahead and get rid of him. Who's your other quarterback in that league?
Josh Allen is my 1, and then usually, like, I had Drew Brees for so many years, I would just pick up some dude for a week. So I got Josh Allen. I got Justin Fields last year, so he's my 2 basically. So I mean, if I'm doing terrible, I'll pick up Trubisky or somebody, whoever's playing off the waiver wire. But yeah, so I was like, it was Drake London and Lazard for Tua and Pittman. Luckily, I don't think any of the guys listened to know that it's Drake London, because I could take Walker, but I like Drake London so much.
I like Drake London too. I've heard a lot of people just like saying he's like that contested catch guy, and it just doesn't work out a lot. I don't know if it's kind of like
I've heard it too.
Corey Davis, N'Keal Harry type. But I mean, might not be, whatever. But like I said, we nobody knows going into the league. But like I said, I like Drake London. I think he's going to be good. I mean, I'm hoping he's going to be good.
I mean, I've been looking at trading all around, getting some picks down, getting lower, and seeing if I could go down lower and just pick up Jameson Williams. That would be happy as a pig in mud. And
happy as a pig in mud. Where are you from, dude?
I'm from the same place you're from.
I'm just kidding.
And I had pigs, so I saw pigs in mud, and it was mostly poop. So they were happy in that.
Yeah.
But I can't say that online. So anyway, today what we're going to talk about, leading from my trade in, is we're going to talk about early favorites and early hesitation. So we're getting into draft season's coming up for most people in about a month. And so we're just what we like to do in the Couriers is not spend a lot of our time really talking about those top guys. Like, we love Josh Allen. We'll say that off and on, but we're not going to
I
spend a
love
half hour
Josh
talking
Allen.
about him.
Love
We're
Josh
not going to spend a half hour talking about Jonathan Taylor. We know he's great.
I
We'll
love
probably hit
Josh.
on some of those. We did the receiver talk of Chase and Jefferson because it was Dynasty, and it's talking about starting a Dynasty league. If you haven't got a chance to listen, I did that Dynasty live flop of a Facebook Live. I'm learning more, but apparently it was a bad timing. I was lonely for a little bit there. But I was talking about, you start with those guys. But that's a Dynasty startup kind of question that we're talking about. But what we like to do in the Couriers is talk about guys that might not get talked about as much, middle of the pack guys. We'll hit guys up top. We'll do our top players. JJ Wang's a tier guy. I'll do a rankings. We'll put them side by side to look at for a discussion later on in July. But we like to hit different topics throughout the month, dark horses. So this week it's early favorites and early hesitations. As you're listening to it, if you want to pause the podcast, we did put there's going to be a thread on the Fantasy Couriers Facebook page that you can write who your early favorites and early hesitations are and see what you think about guys we like. Pop notes up there. But JJ Wang, my trade leads right into your early favorite. Talk about him, because we both love this dude.
Yes.
I just hated to get rid of him.
Yeah, so we've already started. So my guy's Michael Pittman. So when Michael Pittman came out of college, I was a huge fan. So I pretty much picked him up anywhere. I was kind of like him with you with Tua. I eventually traded him in the league, but I still got a lot of shares. But this guy's by far and away the number one receiver on the team. He had 129 targets last year. I think the next highest was 69. So he's obviously the number one guy. And I think and we were talking about Carson Wentz earlier. I think this quarterback is a bit of an upgrade as far as like maybe consistency, like being just like a better playmaker, having better drives along down the field. So I think that's going to help him out. But what's really going to make a difference here is a touchdown. So he only had 6 last year. That I feel like that needs to be like double digits if he wants to be that guy. 17th ranked wide receiver, and if he does hit those double digit touchdowns with 200 or 300 more yards, I think it's possible. That's a top 10 wide receiver. I think you got on your hands right there.
Yeah, I think the Matt Ryan. I think you sort of poo-pooed the Matt Ryan thing. I think that's the biggest thing. Matt Ryan last year was 3,968 yards. So since 2010, he has, other than last year, which is only 32 yards, he has not thrown below 4,000 yards.
Oh yeah.
We're looking at 45, 46. He's going to sling the ball. And he doesn't have to. The pressure won't be on Ryan though, because you're going to have the stud running back. That the pressure is not going to be on Pittman as with teams. I love Pittman. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, so like I said, I liked Matt Ryan in the beginning, but I just hope Matt Ryan isn't that guy that was great on his team that he came with before, and then comes into this one and just kind of like it's not the same Matt Ryan. Because I think they're going to lean on the run game a lot.
They should.
The Atlanta Matt Ryan, they leaned on. I don't think that
Devonta.
There's a few times they leaned on the run, but it was never a running team. I felt like it was always, we're going to pass a lot. So hopefully, it's enough. I think Matt Ryan only had 20 touchdowns last year, so that's going to have to go up a lot as well with Pittman being successful. But we'll see. I think the Colts are going to be really good. So.
A funny story, Michael Pittman is probably the first father-son combo I've had on my fantasy teams.
Yeah.
I had his dad for a running back, probably with maybe an Arizona year. I think an Arizona year and probably some of the Tampa years. But yeah.
The guy was a big dude.
Yeah, dude, 6'2". Yeah. Anyway, my guy is, I'm hoping he's healthy, but all signs point towards him getting there. Is he might be popped, but who knows? Robert Woods, wide receiver 1 in Tennessee. Robert Woods has always been, he's that guy that you get on your team and you don't realize, wow, he is amazingly good as long as he doesn't play for Buffalo. So in Buffalo he was okay, then he went to the Rams and all of a sudden, booyah, we have a great receiver here. He had a 1,200 yard year, an 1,100 yard year. Last year he got hurt, it looks like in game 9. So we're looking at, he should be back to health. It'll probably get a little bit to catch up, but let's look at that team. Who else are they going to throw to? The rookie? Maybe. There's a lot.
Definitely not throwing it to Derrick Henry. That's for sure.
I hope they do. Hilliard's going to get some. They're saying he's looking really good in camp. They're going to spread the ball out, but he is the veteran presence for this year. For a dynasty, what I would do is if you have him, let him blow up those first handful of weeks, trade him for the ranch, and enjoy running away. But I think Robert Woods is going to be a guy you're going to get later in drafts because everybody's scared of the ACL. Dude's 30 years old, but he's consistent. Just a good 6 foot tall, almost 200-pound receiver that's going to get the catches. They're a running team, so you're not going to get those giant yards. But I mean, the year that he got 1,200 yards, Gurley was there. So Robert Woods, I like the landing spot. I've never been a Tannehill hater, even as a Dolphins fan, and he's like Kirk Cousins light in my book. So what do you think of Robert Woods?
What if Robert Woods isn't a number one guy? Like, what if he isn't he isn't the number one guy? Like, he's just not that guy. He's always like a better number two with a. I mean, like I said, I don't know his career, but I just feel like Robert Woods just isn't like that big playmaker, number one receiver that you typically think of. Don't get me wrong, I like Robert Woods. I mean, he's been consistent his whole career, and I could be wrong, but I just don't know if somebody's not taking the pressure off of Robert Woods, especially at this age, at this late in his career, coming off the injury. I don't know if, and with Tayden, I'm not as huge on Hill. I don't know if he can be the guy. I mean, I think it's going to be a tough year for that whole passing offense.
In the NFL these days, Tannehill doesn't have to throw but for 2,000 yards. Give that 1,000 yards to Robert Woods, and he's the number one receiver on the team. But, I mean, you look back, the year that he had 1,200 yards, he had Brandon Cooks, and it was a young Cooper Kupp. Cooks had 80 catches for 1,200 yards, 1,204, and Woods had 86 for 1,219. So he outperformed Brandon Cooks that year, but it was Todd Gurley's monster year. But that took the pressure off. So, yeah, you could be – who knows? I mean, I'm hesitant.
I still feel like Brandon Cooks was – when you watch that team, I feel like Brandon Cooks was the number one, right?
But de facto and I guess by number, but not by stats. I mean, he got blown out, but not blown out. They were hit neck and neck. So I don't know. I mean, I was hesitant when he signed there. I was like, what is this? And then more and more as time's going by here, I'm like, man, I might have to look at some Robert Woods. I ain't got none.
I mean, if he, like I said, I mean, I don't know how his injury is, but I mean, if he comes back fully healthy, I mean, there's a possibility. But I just don't trust the Titans offense. I've said this before, it comes back to bite me. But I don't know. We'll see.
So my second guy, I'm on a wide receiver kick, is a guy that I've loved for years. He would be a guy that would probably fall into one of my favorite guys. He had just one of the grossest, devastating knee injuries, which is just bouncing back from. And then he had Drew Lock to deal with all these years. And we're talking about Cortland Sutton. Everybody has their side on the Judy Sutton side. Who's going to be better? I think you're a Judy guy, right?
Judy guy.
Yeah, I'm a Sutton guy, and I unlike a lot of people, maybe you include, I think Russ is going to have a decent year. And Russ likes throwing to 6'4" receivers. There was a guy last year by the name of DK. He did have about 20 more pounds of muscle, but same height we're looking at. Sutton's going to be in his age 27 year. He'll turn 27 during the season. That's a year when a lot of receivers really have that's like the prime of receiver life. So, you know, I see a boom year. In my mind, I'm looking at DK. He likes the big guys to throw to. He's like, I picked up Hamler the other day in the league. I found he was like, oh, cool. He's free off waivers. So you got the Tyler Lockett, but the DK is going to be here at DK Metcalf. I mean, he had 10, 12, 7 touchdowns. Why can't Sutton bounce back to that and get those kind of touchdowns? Because I believe they're going to let Russ cook because they have to in the AFC West, not because Russ can cook.
I don't mind it. I mean, I'm not a huge Sutton. I fall on Judy's side more, and I actually traded away my only Sutton share I had the other day. But like, I like Sutton. I'm just not confident in Russell Wilson at the moment. Like I was in the beginning, then I started to fade a little bit. It might come back as we go throughout the summer. I go up and down on guys constantly. I hear like one thing from a reporter saying just didn't look good, and I'm like, oh really? So then I started getting that feeling like, yeah, it'll be a little down. Then then I'll come back up. But I think Sutton has the upside as far as like touchdown goes. I think he can be that double-digit touchdown guy. But
I hope so. I got a lot of.
There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot there. Like I said, it's going to be tough. I mean, like I said, I'm hoping for Judy more than I am for Sutton. But
I got one Judy if you want him. Let's go to your guy. Your guy we talked about before is a guy we both love, and going if I can't get him on any.
Yeah, I don't have him anywhere. And he came up in a conversation I had with Scott. We was going back and forth about some trades, and he brought up ETN, and he said he was going to be like I guess the next Swift. I don't know how you want to take that, because if he says the next Swift to you, you don't think it's all that great. But if he says,
told me that last year too.
Yeah, so I mean, I can see where the comparison is. Honestly, I think I put him right there in that same group as like Austin Eckler, where you want him to, I think, like catch more than run maybe. So that's how I kind of see it with Kamara as well. And if James Robinson comes back, I think they still like James Robinson. I think if Robinson's healthy enough to play, I think Robinson's going to play. I think he's earned it. Plus, that keeps the pressure off of ETN, who's also coming back from injury. You don't want to wear this guy out all at once. You don't want him to get pounded up the middle. You want to keep him fresh. You know, he can catch a lot of balls. So I think that's where you're going to rely on him the most, is in the passing game, especially this first year. And if Trevor Lawrence is going to make that step into where we all think Trevor Lawrence should be, I think ETN is going to have to be a big part of it.
Oh yeah, you got yes. I can't get him. I have got trade offers out. I am trying everything, and there is nothing I can do to get him. His value, I'm throwing ridiculous, stupid things out, like just mortgaging the future to get him to be. And people aren't biting. They're like, well, I want to know what's going to happen with him. I was like, oh my goodness.
They're excited, man. I mean, it feels good. That's what's the best part about like early. So you're excited about these guys. And,
hope springs eternal.
Yep. And then as soon as the season starts, you're like, oh, this sucks. I should have took that trade. Gosh, darn it.
Yep. Or I shouldn't have done that trade. Usually,
no, you shouldn't have done that trade. Yeah.
In one of my leagues, they're like, oh look, Adam made a trade again. I'm like, that's what I do. It's for me. That's part of the game. You're not a trader like I am. Trading keeps me interested. I'm reading a lot of stuff, listening to a lot of stuff, but trading's sort of I like to play. I like to trade. I like to draft. I trade in drafts. I trade out of drafts. I like
to trade. I mean, I like to trade too, but the guys I got on my team, I like. I don't want to trade away guys, that I like. It's just hard for me. Like me,
I've learned to lose. I told one guy, I said probably the guy on my teams right now that's untradeable would have to have one share of Jefferson. He's like, I want Jefferson. Dude, he's about as close to untradeable as you can get. So anyway, from guys we love to guys that our early favorites, and there's tons more we'll get into over the month. These are guys we're hesitant about. So we probably won't spend as much time on them, or else this episode will be as long as the past four. But guys that we are kind of hesitant on or not as high on. Your guy, actually, I sent you a text this week because I'm trying to fill a third running back spot till James Robinson comes back. And he's available, but the price is still high. But I like him better than you. Like, that's funny. Our two first guys, I like your guy. You like my guy. So, shoot.
Go ahead.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Go ahead, yeah.
I'm gonna go with my guy. It's a controversial one too. It's his name is Deandre Swift. If you've listened to the show long enough, you know I'm not a Deandre Swift truther. I can't speak English either. I speak well English. But the reason is because Deandre Swift is 5'9", 211. I was a real big fan of a 5'11", 211-pound running back out of Auburn in Detroit. This is a guy out of Georgia in Detroit who's 2 inches shorter. And Kerryon Johnson just broke my heart. Deandre Swift he just can't stay healthy. He's a great running back. They're both from the SEC, so it's not like they came out of South Dakota State or something. They're both coming from the major conference. They both played for the Detroit Lions. But the irony, I told you this prior to the show, is I have thrown out oodles of trades trying to get Deandre Swift too, just because I want a piece of the action in case I'm wrong.
Yeah, so let's be real. Like, Kerryon Johnson wasn't good, right? Deandre Swift is already good. I mean, he was like, before his injury, he was already a top 5 running back. At no point in Kerryon Johnson, I like Kerryon Johnson too.
He had that stretch that his rookie year, and then he got hurt. That stretch where he was Amon-Ra St. Browning us. Do you know what Deandre Swift's draft position was?
What do you mean?
Second round, 35th pick. You know what Kerryon Johnson's draft position was? Second round, 43rd pick. These two dudes are so comparable that I don't know if I'm glad nobody took those trades because it scared me more. The more and more I look at it, it's Kerryon Johnson part 2.
But if you can want to compare, you can compare guys all you want, and it's going to scare you. I mean, you can do that on every team all the way back to the
Except
end of
you.
time. But I think DeAndre Swift is just a different player than Kerryon Johnson is. That's my opinion. I do remember Kerryon Johnson having that rookie year where he did ball out, but then he completely fell off the track.
Injuries,
But
man.
but for 2 years, DeAndre Swift has been good. I mean, he has his injuries, but we've already seen 2 years where when he plays, he is really. I mean, he's a definitely a top 12 running back. But I can see where you're on the fence, but I was there until I traded for him, and then once I
Of course
traded
you were.
for him, I was full on the DeAndre Swift train, and then I started looking into him, and I think he has it all. I mean, he's the first, second, and third down back for that team. And like we always say, it doesn't have to be a good team to be a good running back. Good running backs are on bad teams all the time. And I think
Even Jackson.
he's the top option. I think he's literally the top option on that team. So
yeah.
But like I said, you want him, so yeah, you obviously there's something there.
Oh, I've been wrong so many times. I don't want to be totally wrong.
Yeah, that's why we call them hesitations. I mean, you're on the fence. You're going one way or the other. But my guy,
you don't hesitate about this guy. You straight up hate him.
I don't know if maybe. But so my guy is actually one of your. I mean, like I said, you like him a lot, and that's on Miles Sanders. So I'll put my next two guys together because they're on the same team, so I can kind of combine it. So
Rich just unsubscribed, by the way.
Yeah. So I went with Miles Sanders, and I'm going with Devonta Smith. So I'll go with Miles Sanders first. So Miles Sanders, I'm just going to compare it to that. Miles Sanders coming in, we thought he was all going to be great, but he's just never really broken through. And then last year is what we were going to see from Miles Sanders for the rest of his career. Miles Sanders obviously isn't the passing back, right? Because I think Kenny Gainwell's got that locked up. And for some reason, he's not the goal line back, right? That's like Boston Scott. Boston Scott gets more goal line carries, and they love Boston Scott too, and he's always in the game plan. So what does that make Miles Sanders? He's not the receiving back. He's not the goal line back. He had 0 touchdowns.
2020.
So we just going to just run in there and just gut it up the middle until we need something else. Maybe break a play here and there, get lucky in a touchdown. And then as far as Devonta Smith goes, who knows how much Jalen Hurts is going to throw the ball, right? He likes to run it a lot. They bring in A.J. Brown. They got Dallas Goedert. There's just top options all around him to throw to when he does got to throw. And I think A.J. Brown is a better target for Hopkins, Hurts. Shorter passes, more accurate. Devonta Smith was the leading target guy last year, and it really wasn't even close. I think Goddard was second, but I just don't see that being with A.J. Brown. It's just going to be tough. I like Devonta Smith. I don't like Miles Sanders, but I like Devonta Smith. But I'm just trying to see where he fits in that offense at the moment.
Yeah, see, Miles Sanders, do you realize that he averaged 5.5 yards per carry last year? Like he must have just made someone mad. Like when he
had 0 touchdowns. What's more impressive?
That's never going to happen again. You can never bank on touchdowns.
What's more impressive? 5.5 average or 0 touchdowns?
5.5 average in fantasy, because year to year you can't bank. You never bank on touchdowns. You look at what they do average wise. I mean, he's not a touchdown guy, and 3, 6, and 0. That's still garbage. Doesn't matter.
He's not a receiving guy either. So what is he?
He's a heck of a runner. I mean, he had 50 receptions his rookie year, then they just forgot about him. I don't know. I mean, I was trying to get him for a running back 3, and the price got way too expensive for me. As far as Devonta Smith, I like him as well, and I'm on the opposite. I think he's, as you said about Robert Woods, he might be better in that number 2 position. I mean, 64 catches for 916 yards last year will take some of that pressure. Like, as they saw him get better, they put more guys on him, I'm sure, and then take that off because A.J. Brown's the big, shiny new toy. A.J. Brown doesn't get lots of receptions either.
Totally understand, but they didn't have A.J. Brown in the offense last year. It was Devonta Smith, and it was that Dallas Goedert. There wasn't a third wheel. So now you've got to take a lot of those targets. You're going to have to take targets from Devonta Smith. You're going to have to take targets from Dallas Goedert and give some to A.J. Brown. You paid him a lot of money. He's going to have to get targets.
Yeah, you did, but I think the thing is, if A.J. Brown can't get separation, I mean, I don't know, wow, it was a terrible team. Quez Watkins was a third leading receiver last year.
That's what. And
then go to 4, it's Rager. He only had 300 yards. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's sort of like where a lot of people are looking at with Waddle, that it might open up some with Tyreek being there. I think Tyreek's better than AJ Brown. AJ Brown's I don't know what it is about AJ Brown. I have him a lot, but I'm not a huge AJ Brown guy. So yeah, I think it opens him up for it. So I'll still pick him up if the price is right. My guy is he's probably gonna go up and down the draft board. Like right now in a redraft, he's probably way high because of rookie fever. It's Breece Hall of the New York Jets. I can keep it short, sweet, and simple. Breece Hall's gonna be in a committee. Committee backs, they're the new wave, but as high as he's going, like probably by August, he'll probably slink back down to them. He might not be on my hesitation. Michael Carter's there. Ty Johnson, I believe, is still there. They've got and Zach Wilson can run. So Breece Hall is a monster running back, but he's not going to get the heavy work that he would get to be drafted where he's going to be drafted in. I mean, most people that are listening to this are in family drafts. We're not talking about experts. They're going to draft him later. But family drafts, they're going to be like, ooh, Breece Hall, he was the first, blah, blah, blah. So that's why I hesitate about him. Do I love Breece Hall? Oh, yeah. Am I trying to trade up that 1.2 to 1.1 for Breece Hall? Oh, yeah. Is it going to happen? Oh, nope. I was already told no. I would love to have some Breece Hall, but Carter looks good. The other backs, they're going to throw a bunch of guys in there. They said Tevin Coleman. They're going to try that ridiculous, foolish move again. And Wilson can do, and then they got decent receivers now. So I don't think Breece Hall is going to be Jonathan Taylor. And I think people are going to expect that this year. So that's why I hesitate about him.
You know, I think I mentioned it the other week. I think I mentioned him with Jonathan Taylor. So I think he's going to get a lot of the workload, my personal opinion. And I think he's going to get probably, I don't know, 65, 70% of the carries probably.
Yeah,
I think I don't think they like Michael Carter in that role, so you're going to give it all to Breece, and he can still catch the ball. Michael Carter can still be relevant with Breece Hall being a number one running back. I mean, it's definitely possible. But I think Breece Hall he's definitely a top 15 running back to start off with. I mean, that's where I would be picking him. A lot of people got him higher. I think he's going to get all the carries. I think he's going to get all the touchdown opportunity. I think the Jets are going to be better than they were. I think their offense is. I'm not a huge fan of Zach Wilson by any stretch of the means, but I think Breece Hall makes it a little better, and I think he's got all the opportunity in the world. I think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. Honestly, I think that's going to be the touchdown.
I could see him being touchdown dependent. I could see it this year being more the pounder.
Like you said, you can't really rely on that. You can't
rely on it. That's why here's my hesitation.
Yeah, you can't go into the draft thinking like he's going to score all these touchdowns. Well, you can, but whether or not it's true, just like I said, it relies so much as the Jets going to be better. Are the Jets going to be better? Like I think they will be. I don't know how much better, but I think they're going to run a lot. I think maybe David Montgomery-ish.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
I'd rather have Montgomery right now. I think for one more year.
Well, maybe right now because David Montgomery is David Montgomery.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I think I'd probably take Breece Hall because I think the ceiling's a little higher for Breece. I think he can do more. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. You know what? I think Montgomery is about where I see Breece Hall at.
Wow. Okay. So,
but if he gets those touchdowns, I think that's where it's going to be at.
So those were our favorites and hesitations. We'll throw out more guys throughout the next little bit till we get to super draft season of guys that we're high on, guys that we're not. Next week you're going to hear guys we own the most as a sort of preview. This last section, JJ Wang doesn't like the title of it, but I love it. It's called the yuck time. I forgot. Yuck. Defenses and kickers. We're going to talk about defenses and kickers. If you're still playing defenses and kickers, cool. So we're going to support you for about a month. We'll do a couple weeks of the yuck time.
I like them. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I don't like them whatsoever. I love defense. It's my favorite part of football, but I hate it on fantasy. And kickers, just plug and play whoever. If you need the kicker on the best scoring offense in the league, or else you just guess. Anyway, so I will start just so I can get this misery over with. I wish I could claim credit for this, but a lot of other podcasts have pointed out when you pick a defense for the year, you don't find the best defense from the last year. Look at where they're going to start. Expect to start other defenses. And if you get other defense, if your defense is really, really good, cool. I've been in leagues where guys carry 3 or 4 defenses. That's just stupid. So, I mean, carrying 2 is rough for me some days. I just dropped the Miami Dolphins defense, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, the Baltimore Ravens defense, so that I could get the Cleveland Browns defense. And here's why. Week 1, Carolina. Week 2, New York Jets. Week 3, Pittsburgh. And Week 4, Atlanta. I'm going to drop them Week 5 because they have the Chargers. Then they have New England. But I have 4 weeks of a defense, streaming defenses, of a Browns defense that's pretty much garbage. I know nothing about them. I know they're not that great, but I know that they're playing, as of today, it's going to be either Sam Darnold or the revenge of Baker Mayfield. I'll take that. I mean, Christian McCaffrey will get his, but otherwise, okay. Then you go to week 2. You like the Jets more than I do. Then week 3, Pittsburgh and either a rookie quarterback, a terrible offensive line, or Mitchell Trubisky. In week 4, I think Ritter's going to start the season as the quarterback. I'm sort of thinking that. We'll talk about that later. But it's a 4-week stretch to start, and if not, I'll drop them and pick up some other garbage defense to score me 3 points a week.
Yeah, Myles Garrett's a bad man.
Oh, he is. Yeah, I couldn't think of his name. He's awesome.
That is a specimen of a guy right there. Watch him out there playing basketball at the rec gym, or the time he was at the draft in that tight suit he had. Dude, that's a scary. Maybe, yeah. I mean, I like I just feel like nothing better than when your defense puts up like 25, 30 points and it wins.
Yeah, but
you're right. But when it does happen, you're like, yeah, awesome, my defense. Or that year when who was it? New England, when their defense was like the highest scoring, like top whatever in the league.
Yeah, and I had them that year. I actually traded them away for something decent. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was crazy. But I mean, it's just fun to like pick and pop these guys. Like, hey, maybe this guy's going. They score big, and then when it hurts you, it's But same thing with kickers. I mean, I went with the kicker here. I went with like the hot trend, and that's Evan McPherson, 22 years old. I mean, this guy could be the best kicker for the next 15 to 20 years, right? He already has the character. He's out there banging 50-yard field goals in the playoffs, just not missing at all in the playoffs. I mean, it's 50 yards like all over the place. I mean, and he's just fun to watch. He'll kick, turn around, walk away. It's going in. But kickers and defenses are the same thing. I like picking these guys up and then busting off for 18, 20 points. I think, and then the other person gets all mad because they don't like kickers, and the reason they lost is because some kicker they picked up off the waiver wire. So, I mean, I think it's fun.
Well, I was sitting here thinking about Evan McPherson has bigger hands than Kenny Pickett, just so you know. He has 9 1/4 hands versus Kenny Pickett's little like child hands. No, he was fun to watch in the playoffs. I like kickers in person. Like my favorite of all time is probably Janikowski, just because he's a big, crazy, wild guy that's going to run you over, tackle people, and kick the snot out of the ball, and an FSU guy. So yeah, McPherson was fun to watch in the playoffs. I can't argue that. But yeah, there's the yuck time for everybody. And I might have to do. Do I got to do that every week now?
Maybe that could be like a drop that you create.
So I got to create a drop now.
Just push a button.
We're too old school for that. I might just have to. I could create it and have it play. But anyway, quick note before we get JJ Wang's wisdom. If anybody's interested, there's a link in our notes and on the Facebook page. We're doing a quick underdog best ball draft league. We're not sponsored by Underdog. We just wanted somewhere to have people join us. Got a couple of guys in there. I forgot to promote it recently, so it's been up there a while. As soon as we get 12, it'll run. Feel free to jump on in. Just something fun to do. It's best ball, so it's basically the fun of drafting, and you see what happens, and you might win a couple of bucks. So, JJ Wang, give us some wisdom, and let's get out of here.
Yeah, some words of wisdom. Don't dismiss other people's advice like all the time. I mean, yeah, you can disagree with it, but like take what people say, right? Like even if you disagree with it, and then maybe think about it, maybe look into it a little bit. If you still don't agree with it, fine. But like, don't always dismiss what anybody says. I mean, because they could be right and you could be wrong, and it's very rare that either one of us could be wrong, right? But still, right, I mean, I find myself like someone to mention something, and then I'll go back and I'll start looking. But you know what? It might be kind of right there, and it helps me look at things from like a different light instead of just having blinders on. When I had Lamar. From Miami, was like Lamar guy from Miami.
Miller?
Lamar Miller had blinders on. Nobody could tell me anything about that guy.
He's terrible.
That was my guy, right? I was going to pick it regardless. But if I would have listened to everybody, I probably would have done a lot better in a lot of leagues. I kept picking him first all the time. But yeah, just don't be afraid to listen to people's advice. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But as always, trust yourself and trust the process.